I hope you sort of settled in after a good lunch. I see a lot of young friends here. Thank you all for coming. I hope you find it fruitful going around the stalls, interacting with the startups and other energetic people in this IMC. I'll just set the stage, talk a few words about the context for this event. Not much about any of these active or passive infrastructure. The theme could not be more relevant today, given that we stand at the crossroads of two great forces which are shaping our worlds today: artificial intelligence, the rise of artificial intelligence, and the expansion of digital connectivity, especially in rural areas and in the remoter parts of the country. The story of India's transformation over the past decade has been how these two forces have emerged and now accelerating to create a new dynamic of transformation and progress, creating opportunities which I'm sure all of you sitting here would be the biggest beneficiaries and would be the leaders. Some among whom of you here would be leaders for taking forward this transformation. Uh, in some ways, when we look at the India of tomorrow, it can be said very safely that digital infrastructure and digital elements would be at the front end of the change and transformation and leadership that we will be progressing. We all know about the story so far. We have been, in the last decade, built one of the most robust, largest, resilient telecom networks in the world. I'll not repeat those numbers. They are all really staggering achievements. And today, during the inaugural session, the Honorable Minister and the Honorable Prime Minister did dwell upon some of the impressive achievements that we've had till now. AI is not just another technology; it's a general purpose technology which has which has a potential to be transformative, a multiplier of human potential. But AI runs on data, and data runs on telecommunication networks. And India, fortunately, is witnessing an explosion of data traffic. People are learning, working, trading, and creating online content as never before. From smart farming to telemedicine, from e-learning to logistics optimization, every AI-powered application needs strong, fast, and affordable connectivity. Friends, the biggest transformation is happening in our villages. And this is something which we sitting here may not be fully cognizant or aware of, but I think this is something which we should keep at the back of our minds, because when the transformation reaches its potential and starts to move the economy itself, we will be all of us will be the better off because of that. Through the BharatNet, we have connected more than 2.14 lakh gram panchayats, and the next phase we intend to reach 1.5 crore rural homes with fiber broadband. We have built 20,000 new mobile towers under various government schemes covering the remote and border regions of the country. For the first time, people in these areas can make video calls, attend online classes, get telemedicine consultations, and access e-governance services. The theme for this session, passive and active infrastructure, captures the essence of this transformation. When both work together, they bridge the digital divide, they turn connectivity into empowerment and networks into opportunities. As our networks grow, sustainability must remain at the heart of our vision. This is something which, again, I would urge my young friends who are here to keep in mind. Sustainability of our network, sustainability of our systems should be an important consideration while we proceed in this digital transformation journey. Under Digital Bharat Nidhi, we are funding not just connectivity but also research and indigenous innovation through the Telecom Technology Development Fund. Through the PLI scheme, India is manufacturing telecom and semiconductor equipment locally. Through green telecom initiatives, we are powering towers and data centers with solar and renewable energy. This is not just connectivity, this is Atmanirbharta with responsibility. Friends, the infrastructure choices we make today will decide how fast AI reaches every farm, every clinic, every classroom, and every household in India. Passive and active infrastructure together are the bridges connecting the power of AI with the promise of rural progress. With digital infrastructure first, India is not just bridging rural divide, we are laying the foundation to become a global AI powerhouse. Let's continue to build networks that are resilient, inclusive, and sustainable. Networks that carry the dreams of a transformation. Thank you very much. I wish all my young friends here a very rewarding and fruitful 3 days ahead, spending time learning and enriching yourself. Thank you very much.
Now, to begin the session, I would like to invite our panelists. So, I would like to invite Prashant Malkani, Head of Sales, Unit India Network Infrastructure, Nokia. Rajiv Saluja, Head 5G Radio, Reliance Jio. Rajiv Narang, PGM BharatNet, BSNL. Gopa Kumar Krishna, CEO, RAN Next Technology. Sitendu Dash, Deputy General Manager, Hindustan Copper. I would now like to invite the moderator of the session, Rahul Hakim, Partner, GRCS Telecom, TMT Head, KPMG, India.
Thank you, sir. I think it's one of the most insightful keynotes present in the shortest span of time. And, very well put in terms of the messaging is that, our networks needs to be resilient and inclusive. And that's a very, very important message that we'd want to carry throughout this session. And once again, we have a very young crowd today. So guys, don't worry if you don't understand everything, but what you will understand is a lot of it. And lot of it is because it's lot of it is pertinent, and your generation will probably see one of the largest skill transfers recorded in the history of mankind. The age of AI will democratize information, and it already has, like no other. You will have access to information, you will have access to skills that many of us probably took ages even to learn about. So use these things very wisely, and I'm sure you'll have a far brighter future going ahead, and you'll be far bigger torchbearers for our country. Now, with this, I'd like to thank my esteemed panelists for joining us today. And we have a very diverse audience. We have people who have an OEM background who are building, and then we have TSPs who are building our networks, and then we have our end consumers also, and we also have have people who are deploying the fibers into the most rural of these areas. I'd like to start my question with Rajiv Saluja ji. The first question, obviously, this is something that I'll ask a couple of other panelists as well, is that what is the foundational infrastructure that is needed to enable AI-driven solutions in rural India? And why we say that is that what is the foundational infrastructure? Yes, we can talk about all infrastructure, but there's something, what is a certain minimum baseline that we need to start with before we talk about, inclusivity, at least for people in the AI space.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Thanks, Rahul. So the fundamental thing that an AI tools will require, in addition to a very powerful algorithm, three things that it will require. The first is the data. The second is cloud infrastructure, and the third is a high-speed connectivity. So if we have the combination of these three factors, which is, you have high-speed connectivity, you have a cloud data center which can host this data, and you can populate a large amount of data on which you can train your AI algorithms. That is what will enrich your AI. Now, it looks very simple, but if I go leg by leg, the complexity continues to increase. First of all, in the high-speed connectivity, getting data from remote areas of this country to a place where it can be processed and analyzed is probably the most complex part. At Reliance, we have deployed now about 1.1 million 5G cells to bring this, and about 1.1 million kilometers of fiber to get this data from the most remote rural parts of the country. We process about 320 billion records every day to understand what is happening in our network, how the data is getting processed. And we are setting up a very large AI infrastructure in Jamnagar, a gigawatt scale AI infrastructure with completely renewable power to bring this analysis. One important thing when I speak about cloud is the edge data centers. How do I take this data right close to the edge so that my customers can process it and can get the analysis that they need right then and there? We are building data centers right across the country. We have a lot of edge deployments already, and we continue to intensify it right up to the most rural parts of this country.
Thank you, Rajiv. I think a follow-on to this question from Prashant as well. In your take, what would you add to the foundational infrastructure that we just heard from Rajiv?
What do we add?
Yeah.
Thanks, Rahul. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. I will actually add, because the three fundamental pillars Rajiv covered extremely well, which are the most important ones: the connectivity, the data centers, and the processing. But here we are talking about taking it to the rural India, and I would add three or four more pillars to this to make it a little more realistic and a little more effective to this. One would be the end use of it, which will need the right devices, the right ecosystem, the right sensors to make this entire computing getting information in the right sense. So whether it is for agriculture, it has to have the right sensors to collect the soil information and so on and so forth, which will be processed by AI. Another important factor in the connectivity would be the end devices. So we have now fiberized wireless devices which will form a part of this ecosystem. And the third most important pillar here would be the smaller edge data centers. We work in the urban area. We don't realize this importance because any huge data center requires huge amount of space, power, electricity, which is not so much feasible when you go into the layers of the rural India. So what we need to do here is build smaller data centers, which may even use, renewable energy. That could be solar, wind. I would even go, you may even have, the gas, which could be actually a part of this renewable energy. And covering this all, the most important infra, Rajiv, I want to add here is the human infra. It has to have that human competence, training, skills, which will actually get us this right information to process it. So for a complete picture, Rahul, we have the three pillars which are applicable across the globe, and then these three with the human interface and human learnings to cover the scale for the rural India as well.
I think very well put. When you talked about the human interface and the human skills, because ultimately those are the ones which will take all the infra forward. But before I get to a follow-on question, that I have a same question from Sitendu, because from a customer's lens, you are in an area which serves some of the most underprivileged people in India, and from your perspective, what all needs to be done in order to increase the adoption, and what all are you doing currently in various forms and shapes with regard to deployment of infra in rural area, and then getting people to use some of those applications on top of it?
Yeah, that's correct. We are talking about the infra and other things, but the root of this, where from the data will come? Data will come by person or by end devices. So digital literacy is required, very much required in the rural area, first thing. So for that, infra should be developed. Just like in community centers, or you see Prime Minister's PMG Disha is right now going on in the villages. So through that, people should be taught to use the digital devices, and specifically to this farming or healthcare. They are also precision farming. For precision farming, IoT devices, how they will use it. We will put the infrastructure there, IoT devices there, but how to use it? What is the result of that. That's the main thing we have to see. We are working in a mining company. So mining is rural itself and remote. Once the infrastructure is in place, how to maintain it? What's the cost you are getting to get the infrastructure at the remote places? These things has to be seen. That's in my view.
Now, you talked about data and talked about, getting people to have access to that, and very pertinent that we have Mr. Rajiv Narangji, who does a lot of work on the BharatNet stack. So, Rajiv how will BharatNet help accelerate the growth of AI and machine learning for rural India? And that's something, we'll have follow-on questions in terms of, there's some contrarian questions as well. But
Perfectly. I was the right person to answer all these three queries together. Basically, I tell you, it's very true. It is not possible.
closer, sir.
Are you getting me?
Yes, perfect.
No, thank you. So it is a hard fact. It is very tough for an individual at a rural area or at that place to pay the amount or do that thing. So basically, as our Natarajan sir was there, he's the basically in charge of this project at Government of India level, and I am looking at the end of BSNL. So this project of 1,70,000 crore rupees project for 10 years is just for this, to give everything at a much cheaper cost to rural India to make them enable. So that way, if you say what other panelists have said and truly said, we need data, we need innovation, we need intelligence. All three things of rural will come to the picture when we have a connectivity. AI needs data. More the data, more AI is more intelligence will increase. So for increasing the intelligence, this is project, what I'm saying is Digital Bharat project. This BharatNet is a part of Digital Bharat project, and this project has been being monitored at the level of PMO, and this is being implemented in next 3 years. You will find every village covered with this BharatNet, and you will find AI enabling. So in terms of AI, I'll say if AI growth in urban is X, automatically because of this, because they are already slightly behind, so their growth will be 2X. So this BharatNet will solve problem of this side also and this side also, I can say. And we are going to do it, there's no doubt. And one more thing, one more I'll add in this. In this project, 1.5 CR connection as this AST sir has said, 1.5 CR connection in the rural area, even up to end point, up to modem, up to NT, is being borne by Government of India only.
That's so quite encouraging, and that talks about the trust that the government has, that making those investments will definitely pay off. And coming to that, again, a contrary view from Gopal we discussed. Now, with all these investments and with all this focus on getting the infra in place, are we kind of overestimating the readiness of rural communities to adopt AI, or are there persistent gaps in literacy and trust in technology that might hamper some part of this journey?
Can you? Yes. Yeah, you can hear me now. Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, I think it's not a contradictory view that I would say, Rahul. I think we have heard it already from the panelists. I think yes, at this stage, to me, it's a bit far-fetched that we are talking about AI in rural areas. But as a strategical leadership, we have to think for the future. And as we heard, there is a solution through BharatNet that the government is planning. But today we are quite far away from this objective. Whether it is digital literacy or whether it is trust factor, the ability of rural India to adopt AI is quite risky, I would say. But as a think tank, it is important we already start thinking in this direction, and I'm in line with this initiative that we are looking at. Yeah.
I think a follow-on question to you is that we talked about digital infrastructure. You also want to talk about a role of neutral infrastructure and this endeavor. Could you shed some more light on it? On neutral infrastructure. Yeah. Your thoughts on it.
Yeah. So I think rural infrastructure today from a telecom perspective is I think it's quite like in a basic stages in many places. Um, my our understanding as an industry player is there are no big incentives that the players have to take connectivity all the way to a rural area. You spend so much money, and then the ARPU that you get there just does not justify. I think as a result, some of the areas, I think even a 2G connection looks very basic in some of the rural areas. Okay, I think we should not get camouflaged by our urban India, the shining of the urban India. A little bit far away from Gurgaon here in NCR can throw up a very different perspective that the telecom industry has to cover. We know that big players like Jio are doing a great job, but in a country of our vastness, it needs many more hands to play that role, and those people have to be supported to play the role as well. Because you invest money in fiber laying all the way, it's very costly business, and then you bring bandwidth there, it's equally costly. So not too many people have deep pockets. So I think that readiness is a challenge right now.
Naranji doesn't look very happy, listening to you. But yeah, I'm sure he has a point out there. But yeah, but I think going back to Rajiv, so Rajiv, we talked about underserved areas. You just talked about, outside of city peripheries. Obviously, there are some areas which are patches which are not there. How can broadband and 5G expansion be accelerated to serve these underserved areas so that the fruits of these technologies reach everyone?
See, if I look at the rural India, there are about 20,000, 20 to 30,000 villages where the connectivity is poor today, and USOF is doing a great job at filling that up. But if I leave those 20,000 gram panchayats and if I look at the data which my network is getting, it is completely bizarre, The highest growth of 5G traffic is coming to us from the rural areas. My rural India traffic has become 2.2x in the past 12 months, and this is significant volume. It's not on a small volume. Now, my network today handles about 20 exabytes of data per month, which is roughly about 8% of the global data handled by all the networks put together, right? And 50% of that is coming from rural India. 70 to 80% of the total traffic has migrated to 5G in the rural areas, not in the urban areas, And that's a big difference that we see when we look across the data today. For me, digital divide, and if I'm leaving those 20,000 villages apart, digital divide is not between urban and rural in India. The digital divide is between somebody who's using a 2G phone and somebody who's using a 5G phone for us. So for us, it is a completely different paradigm. We see rural traffic increasing leaps and bounds, and it is not stopping. The 5G penetration, look at the crypto growth. You'll be surprised that the crypto growth in India is all happening in the rural areas and not in the urban areas, right? Look at the Gen AI usage. I mean, you look at the Gen AI usage coming from the rural areas, it's exploding like anything. So if we look at the actual data, I mean, leaving apart the last 20 to 30,000 villages where USOF needs to, and they're doing a great job because these are really remote areas and it's very difficult to set up any kind of infrastructure there because of very terrain access, low population density, sparse population, etc. But apart from that, we don't see, and digital literacy, by the way, people learn it by themselves. They are picking up the techniques on their own. IoT and agricultural use cases, I agree, that needs training, that needs skill development. But when it comes to basic use of a smartphone for their agricultural or for their business purposes or for their digital e-governance or e-education, they are picking up like anything. So I think that's my point of view.
Thanks, Raji. Because you talked about use cases, I think I'll take that question to Prashant now. So Prashant, in terms of use cases, we talked about rural use cases. In your view, what rural use cases show the highest potential in terms of development and adoption?
So I'll be specific to the rural use cases and also a little more granular to understand how will AI play a part on that. We have seen technology shifts having moved from 3G to 4G, 4G to 5G. And we had use cases which actually turned out to be reality. What is happening now with AI being an integral part of our ecosystem, bringing us data. A lot of data is collected, which actually gives more prominent use cases to be more specific to rural India. There were use cases which were earlier as well, which were maybe on the agriculture side. Now it will be even more specific because the data which will be collected by the sensors will give us an analysis using machine learning and artificial intelligence to give us this exact input of what is to be done to the farmers, or give that crop a particular guidance how we can improvise it using AI. So it will conclude this entire joining the dots loop and give us that feedback. Another use case which I see on a very important factor will be understanding and growing the telemedicine side of it. Earlier it was only linking or giving the network so that a person there can speak to someone who is in the urban area. Now with AI, we'll have information, we will have reports. The reports will be collated with the data which they have. And to a certain extent, a lot of analysis which are done by doctors would be done using AI. So whether it is collection of data for analyzing medical reports, even to an extent, I don't know how or when will India adapt to, agreeing to using medicines which AI will predict. But very soon we will also have predictions coming out on the remedies of it because of the AI data which they'll have. So two important use cases, Rahul, if you ask me, for the rural India, using AI will be getting the best out of the agricultural database and of this medicine database.
Okay. I think thanks for that part. I think we're probably seeing some shoots already happening in some shape or form, and obviously it scales. But as and again, question to Sitendra there, because again, from a rural perspective, there you see things happening with you. From a safeguard perspective, as in when the acceleration of AI adoption happens, what are the kind of safeguards that are needed to prevent further inequalities between urban and rural? Mr. Narang did talk about the acceleration in rural to have to be 2x in order to kind of cover some past ground. But from your perspective, what are the safeguards that you are thinking about?
First thing, the biasness of rural area and urban area, that has to go away. Because if we'll not put the trust from the ISPs, those who are providing the connectivity to the villages in the rural areas, if they will not put some money for the infrastructure, then this will be always there, urban and rural. You see, rural area, Geo has done a good job. They are doing it regularly. But still, you see, in rural area, 24% is the data usage. And in urban areas, it's 66%, as per market surveys. That's of course of 24, 25. I've not got it. Yeah. So when we'll see that safeguarding, so this is the first thing, biasness has to go. Then things that whatever the AI based technology is developing, that has to be in local language. In local, otherwise, how the people should use it. In India, lot of languages are there. In the interior, if we will go, then again the languages changes.
Yes.
So that has to be in, and when AI technology is anything is developing, software is developing, then the local persons should be involved in the development, so that the correct picture you will get of the local areas. What is the need? In the farming side, you see, they know better than us. They can feed the data. Then only analysis can be done. What is the pesticide is, that is the precision farming. What the pesticide will be used, how, what is the soil condition is there. To know, they know better. So first thing, they have to give the data. If you will put the urban concept on them, they will not accept it. So to safeguard that, you have to take the data from them, collect the data from them, then analyze it and put them again. Second thing, as the infrastructure point of view, connectivity is a problem. it will disrupt some other day. Then power supply. Both the things are there. We have to safeguard these two. Locally, you put a small cloud center, data center. Whenever it is required, you connect it to the main cloud. Otherwise, so that they can access anytime they can access the data. Then using the tablets, smartphones, in that nowadays AI can be inbuilt in that locally, so that always it is not required to connect to the cloud. Whenever they will come to the network points, they can connect it to the cloud and sync the datas.
So would it be fair to say that you're talking hyper localization, specifically in the rural context, is something that needs to be worked upon?
Yes.
So in order to make sure that people are really using what they are skilled at, and that's something which is locally beneficial to them, rather than trying to have an urban template and trying or to force fit onto something that may not work for them.
Again, please, I'm not able to.
Saying, is it you're saying hyper localization is important, so that what is essentially local is something that gets propagated rather than having an urban template trying to force fit into a rural scenario?
No, it's not like that. First thing, if they will be acquainted with the local environment, then they can connect it to the global what is going on. That's the thing. And if it is a hybrid cloud, then both the things they can do it from rural also.
Okay. Okay. I meant from the context of a AI model, so I
Yes.
thought from that perspective. Okay.
In healthcare also,
Yeah.
the same thing. Locally, if the doctors will be trained properly to use the AI models, a lot of AI devices right now coming, just like government, Northeast Corporation is have done blood test on AI devices, retina test in AI devices. That can be used there in the rural areas.
Okay.
All other many other companies also doing.
I think we talked about infra, and I think again we heard our prime minister, we heard our telecom minister talk about again 6G. While we are still not complete on the 5G journey, uh, where does BharatNet fit into that overall landscape for 6G, and what does it mean for the overall AI program that the country wishes to embark on?
So basically, I'll say like that: कि BharatNet, the urban area is being made by all these schemes, and BharatNet is forcing all these things to go to rural all at the same time. So growth of 6G, along with 5G, I can assure you, the moment 6G come, our this BharatNet will extend to every rural place. The trust, yes, we agree, there is some trust deficit of BharatNet. Don't worry, next year, because there is some electricity issue, problem has been resolved in some rural areas also, and also the BharatNet structure and everything has been changed. So in 3 years of the time from today, every village will be exactly at par with the urban area, and the basic thing is to let it be geo, let it be XYZ. Anybody can come, and I tell you the rates, we are providing bandwidth to any village, to any local, just 3,000 per annum. Is even a maintenance of fiber is costlier than that. So when the cost, somebody infra provider as a government side comes, who provide you the cost of bandwidth or cost of fiber at such a cheaper rate, it's guaranteed that 6G will come in rural and along with the 5G again.
Okay. I think starting with Gopa, so Gopa, I think we've covered all points, and I think if you have to move forward on this journey as a country, 2 points from you, what is the way forward and who needs to do what? If you can summarize, and then we can move on to the rest of the panelists.
Yeah. I think obviously the background is that the policy makers have to play their role. There's no doubt on that. I think there are two factors which I think is one is like BharatNet, neutral network is a very critical component to this kind of proliferation, because when you bank on multiple networks, it's a costly affair, it's a complex affair, it's an unnecessary competition affair, at least on the infra part. Like we don't have too many highways. You go to Delhi, Bombay, there's one highway. Anybody can run their vehicle on it. So for this kind of proliferation, it's important that we have neutral networks as the way forward. As Ranext, we are champions in that. We are indoor neutral network players. We have done almost 6,000 plus kilometers of neutral network layout. And like BharatNet, we also believe in letting everyone ride on that. I think that's one feel I believe, irrespective of what we do, but that's the way forward. Second is we heard the device ecosystem has got to get a bit more user friendly. Lot of devices, they are very difficult to replace. It's not easy for a 2G phone to be moved into a 5G phone, as an example. It's a basic example I'm talking about. Today, it's very easy to get a latest technological, device in an urban area. In rural segment, it's very tough to, both get the device there on a logistical front, and then the back-end support that is needed to make it live. So I think these are two things that if the government is able to, get on, hold on, to me, this will be a reality pretty soon. Thank you.
So Rajiv, your viewpoints, two ways to make it, to go forward.
Yeah, so from our perspective, there are 3-4 critical things that we discussed, and I'll touch them one by one. The first is obviously a clear visibility on spectrum roadmap to enable the next generation of 5G advanced or 6G rollouts in the country. The second, as other panelists also highlighted, was about the power infrastructure. So telecom or AI or data or edge data centers, everything requires power. So, and government is already enabling that with renewable power. But I think little bit more focus needs to be put on power availability, ROW availabilities. On the device side, we are continuously innovating with, for example, Jio Bharat phone, which tends to reduce the cost of the device significantly. Also, we are doing this air fiber now, which enables remote rural broadband availability even when there is challenging to lay the fiber. So I think that side is covered there. So I think overall, from an telecom service provider perspective, for us it's not an option or to go or not to go in rural areas. We have to go into rural areas. We are marching with a very fast speed, and it is being enabled with the right policy support from the government. Yeah.
Prashant, over to you.
We have to be a little more specific when we go into those layers. I would rather first take a horizontal view where we divide the understanding into district, block, gram panchayat, village, because every layer would need a different kind of setup and thought process, as Raju said. And depending on what is the need at which layer, we set up the infrastructure for this accordingly. And then, of course, we mentioned and very clearly Sir said that it has to be localized for that requirement. It could be a local language, a local need, a local requirement, which could actually take care of that. So it has to be very specific, create into smaller pieces, get across into localization to ensure it is as per the need of it.
Sir, over to you.
Hello. I'll agreeing to him that industry has now to come out of this urban rural. I'm fully agreeing. Whatever they want from government to basically merge urban rural. Government today, if you can listen to our Honorable Prime Minister, listen to our Honorable Minister, government is ready to do anything. Industry has to come forward and say, we are ready to make rural as urban. That's what my take.
Sitendra.
Yeah, well, I agree with this point. And now the public sectors on the CSR activities also infusing some money for digital literacy and healthcare. Even in our company, we have also in local areas have given medical facilities based on AI, and we are giving the training in the community centers the Gram Panchayat and other persons to be literate and digitally literate. So that, no doubt the barrier of urban and rural will reduce, but still lot of places are there in rural areas where connectivity has not been reached. Under BharatNet, now as per the revised BharatNet, this all villages has to be connected. So that is a good proposal by the government, initiated by government. So it should reach to all the corners. In my mining places, I'll say many places till now, except BSNL, I'm specifically saying, except BSNL, nobody has reached right now.
Thank you.
So
I think
that has to be seen.
I think we are bang on time. We have time for an audience question. If there's anyone who has a question, we have the best of speakers to talk to you. Please go ahead, sir. We have two of them, yeah.
This is to develop the building a digital infrastructure. So how do we safeguard our fiber network asset?
Will say I'll add one or two more point in this. Sir, while doing a BharatNet this time, we are doing a lot many experimentation to ensure that there is no quality. Today, wherever the fiber cable is being laid, we are sitting at Delhi can say this much depth, this much cable has been laid, and this much work has been done, working. And this is through, we are using GIS mapping through some tools given by some of the industry which has come. So now with that, we are very clear. If you can see even our stall also, we can see the current status, how much kilometer has been laid, what is the quality, how much fiber is up, down, is visible up to the Prime Minister office, I can say. It is today visible to them. So that level of monitoring is already happening while laying also, and in future in operation and maintenance also. That we'll do.
Thank you, sir. We had a hand up from this side.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, certainly BharatNet holds, I think throughout this discussion, BharatNet is the prominent promise. And I, as a contributor in this industry, I know that it is really happening. I completely understand and agree with Narangji. I think there are 2 points over here. Okay, we will have connectivity. I have no doubts, just as Narangji is saying. When it comes to AI, I think sensors and IoT, and therefore IoT becomes very important. Obviously, manual entry of data will be of no use to AI. How successful so far? How successful is IoT journey so far? I personally think it's not much, and I think our friend Mr. Rajiv can probably tell us more about how much is IoT, number one. Number two, I understand even as a businessman trying to do anything on IoT, I find there are so many barriers, probably from the regulatory perspective. So can you please help us? First of all, how big is IoT in India? The promise was very big 5 years ago, 2 years ago. Please tell us a little bit more about that. I think that is important in this context, even with the connectivity on.
See, one thing is sure that the number of or the potential of IoT that was envisaged about 5 years or 7 years back, it has not achieved, right? So that is a foregone conclusion. However, the term IoT itself has redefined. Okay, now today a phone does a lot of work which we had envisaged, which a sensor would do, right? Or a camera, for example, is being called an IoT sensor, which typically I won't call an IoT sensor. In our experience, what we have seen is a typical IoT thing. In few use cases, it has grown very well. For example, smart metering, that use case has really grown well in the country and is giving a lot of good value. Agriculture and medicine, I think, and education. I would say 3 sectors. It holds very big potential. And I think as the networks densify and high-speed connectivity becomes available, we are seeing the uptake of, for example, education. Now, earlier, if we go back 7 years back, the remote education was setting up remote classrooms, right? But today, that model itself has changed. Today, teachers are teaching you over a video call. So is that transformation of the IoT that we had envisaged, right? In rural areas, I would again emphasize there is a big upscale of the data traffic that we are seeing, and that is beyond entertainment. That is not only entertainment. Entertainment is a wave guard, but education and financial transactions, those are big volumetric definitions that we are seeing already. Health is a big thing on IoT side, and agriculture, which we should see picking up in the next 2 to 3 years, in my point of view.
I hope that answers your question, sir. With that, I think we come to the end of our session and very wonderful views. And thank you to my fellow panelists for making this possible. And thank you to the audience for being a very patient and a very nice audience. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Request everyone to please be seated for, just Rahul would like to present the mementos to everyone.